I've always hated your high and mighty attitude. I'm going to tell you directly. I want you to get out of the house and I will live with my son," my mother-in-law said with a look of triumph on her face. "Whose house is this, and thanks to whom were you able to make the living?" She doesn't even understand that simple thing. Even though she's my husband's mother, I have my limits. I can't handle the self-centered mother-in-law any longer. I slowly opened my mouth, ready to end it all. "I see. Then I'll gladly leave." She still doesn't know what kind of consequences awaits her after this. My name is Miranda, and I just celebrated my 30th birthday. I have been married to my husband for 2 years. My husband's name is Robin, also 30 years old. We met through work and have been happily married while working continuously even after our marriage. But just the other day, my husband resigned from the company he was working for. He had been looking for a job for a long time, and he started to take it seriously. Normally, he should be looking for a new job while working, but it's hard to find the time to do so. So my husband resigned from the company and has been working hard to find a new job. He put all the severance money he received from his former company into a joint account with me. He doesn't touch it, and now we make our living from my salary. My husband and I had an ordinary but modest and peaceful marriage. I did not doubt that this life would go on forever. Then one day, my husband came home from work and spoke to me.
"Miranda, my mom is in trouble."
"What's the matter, Robin? You're such in a hurry."
"I just got the call that Mom fell down the stairs and had to be rushed to the emergency center."
"What? Lucia?" My husband's mother, Lucia, is 65 now. She divorced Robin's dad when Robin was very young and raised him by herself. For such a mother-in-law, my husband must have been the love of her life. I knew from the moment I went to greet her for the wedding that she did not think well of me. That is why I remember how relieved I was when I was able to live with my husband alone. However, the separation from my mother-in-law had taken its toll on us this time. If we had lived with her, she might not have been injured. My husband seemed to feel the same way, and even in the cab on the way to the hospital, he had a pensive look on his face.
"I wonder if Mom is okay. I heard she's conscious."
"I'm sure she'll be fine. The stairs at your parents' house aren't that steep."
"Yeah, thank you, Miranda."
"No, I know how much you care for your mother." My husband's back feels much smaller than usual. Touching his back gently, we hurried to the hospital. When we arrived at the hospital room, my mother-in-law looked better than expected. She called out to us in a healthy appearance. No, she was waiting for Robin, not for me. "Oh, Robin, you're here."
"Mom, I'm so glad you're okay. I was so shocked when I heard you fell down the stairs."
"I'm fine. I just stepped off and hit my hip. They said I could be out of the hospital in a few days."
"Well, that's good, but I don't know if it's okay for you to get out of the hospital that fast. Wouldn't it be hard to make a living if you went home now?"
At that time, my mother-in-law gave my husband a big smile as if she had been waiting for that word. "I'm thinking of staying at your place for a while after I get out of the hospital."
"Huh?"
"Because I'm in such a state and I don't feel comfortable being alone right now. Even if I stay in the hospital, the cost of hospitalization would be ridiculous."
"That may be true, but..."
"I also don't want to be a burden to my son and your wife. But, Robin, you're the only one I can count on now."
"Mom..."
I can understand what Lucia is trying to say. She raised her only son with her own hands. If something were to happen to her, it is understandable that my husband is the only one she can rely on. However, we have our own lives as a couple. Just the thought of living with Lucia, who dislikes me, chokes me up. However, this feeling I have right now is nothing but selfishness. My husband's mother is in trouble. If this is the case, then it would make sense for me to accept her, as Robin's wife? As I was repeating these questions to myself, my mother-in-law looked into my face with a slightly triumphant expression. Hey, Miranda, there's nothing wrong with me living with you, is there? And we are a family. Well, that's... Or are you trying to force me to live by myself in the hospital, Miranda? No, if it's okay for you, we'd love to have you with us until you recover. Yeah, Miranda agreed, so I'll be taking care of you for a while after I get out of the hospital. My mother-in-law seemed to be happy and gave my husband a big smile. He looked worriedly at me, but I forced myself to give him a fake smile. We took a cab again and headed back to our house. On the way home, my husband looked a little gloomy and said to me,
Miranda, I'm sorry. We were kind of forced into moving in with my mom.
No, it's okay. It's just until your mother recovers.
But, I'm in the middle of looking for a new job. You are taking care of me because I don't have an income, and now it's my mom.
I'll be fine. I'm working during the day, so I don't think I'll have to deal with your mother that much.
If you are fine, then I'm fine too, but what would my mom say if I told her I'm looking for a job?
Oh, yes. Lucia seemed so happy that you were working for your former company. My husband's former company is one of the most prestigious companies anyone has ever heard of. The salary was good, and combined with my income, it was more than enough for the two of us to live on. Lucia seemed to be very proud of this, and whenever we met, she would bring up his job and repeatedly tell Robin to send her money from his good income. If my mother-in-law heard that he had left the company, that would be a problem. After discussing it with my husband, we decided to prevent Lucia from knowing that my husband had left the company until he found a new job. A few days later, Lucia was discharged from the hospital and moved in with us as planned. As it happened to be a Saturday, my husband drove to pick her up. We stopped at my parents-in-law's house to pack a few things, and then my mother-in-law came over to our house. As soon as she entered our house, she scurried around and asked me, Miranda, where will my room be? Your room? Yes, I'm going to live here for a while, so of course I'll need my room. No, but we don't have a very large apartment, so I'm planning to have a space for your mattress in the living room. Huh? A mattress? My mother-in-law changed the color of her eyes and stared at me, then started speaking as if she would look down on me. Miranda, who do you think I am? You have no common sense. How dare you treat your mother-in-law like that? But I bought the mattress for you. I'm the kind of person who needs a nice bed to get a good night's sleep. If all you have is a mattress, then give me your bed. Huh? Lucia's selfish comment made even my husband open his mouth. Mom! But her momentum did not stop, and she instantly got teary-eyed and appealed to Robin. Robin, I know you will understand. My back is still not in perfect condition. Don't be such an ogre and tell me I have to sleep on a mattress.
But you can't ask me to share Miranda's bed. It's our bedroom. What if I sleep on the mattress and you and Miranda sleep in the same room?
No, you could just rent out Miranda's bed, and that would be fine. Then I and Robin can sleep together, right?
Huh?
My husband was so confused that he couldn't speak, and me either. That would be fine, right? I had no choice but to nod at my mother-in-law, who looked at me with a smile on her face.
Miranda, are you sure about this?
My husband asked anxiously, and I nodded reluctantly. I'd rather put up with it myself than have to keep talking about it. But here's where the real hell began. The next day, my mother-in-law began to take her selfishness out on me to the maximum. After my husband left first in the morning, I prepared breakfast for my mother-in-law, but she said it was bad and not healthy enough. When I look at my phone during my lunch break at work, she texted me that there are no tea cakes. I received text messages complaining endlessly about how I would dare to treat my mother-in-law like that. Unable to ignore them, I responded to each one, but my mother-in-law was never satisfied with my replies. Furthermore, since she has come to live with us, the cost of living has increased dramatically. My mother-in-law is sensitive about not only food but also drinks. She even asks for an allowance regularly when Robin is not around. The monthly living expenses for our household have been about $2,000, but now it was $3,000. I didn't tell my husband about this so that he wouldn't worry, but now most of my income goes to the household. However, I would like to keep my husband's retirement money untouched in case something should happen. So I tried to get back on my own without telling my husband about my frustration. However, no matter how hard I tried on my own, my mother-in-law never understood. She doesn't know that my husband quit his job. She would never have imagined that I was the only one who works for a living. Every time I came home from work, she would yell unreasonably at me, and I was mentally overwhelmed. And then one day, it was Saturday, and my husband was out at a job fair for a potential employer. In the early afternoon, as I was cleaning our house, my mother-in-law started sighing and complaining as usual.
It's really frustrating to watch you. Why do you have to be such a useless wife?
Lucia, I can do a whole range of housework, so please don't worry about it. I'm sorry to irritate you, so please just go to the other room.
What, you think I'm in the way?
No, that's not what I meant.
You can't do anything. That's why I didn't want to live with you.
Huh? What is she talking about? We didn't propose that she live with us. She said she was worried about being alone, so I had no choice but to accept. I think this is too unreasonable, no matter how much I try to endure. Amidst a whirlwind of emotions, I couldn't stand it any longer and replied, "With all due respect, since you came to live with us, I too have been burdened in many ways. So you can't talk to me like that."
Don't talk so high and mighty. You owe your life now to Robin, don't you?
No, it's not. I'm telling you the income of this house right now is...
I've always hated your arrogant attitude. I'm going to make this very clear. I'm going to live with my son, so get out of this house.
With that, my mother-in-law shoved me over her shoulder. I was holding the vacuum cleaner in my hand, and I fell on my buttocks with a mighty thud. Lucia was smiling happily at the sight of me. As soon as I saw that expression, the dark emotions that had been suppressed in the back of my mind began to flow out of me with great force. I couldn't believe it. How could she do this to me after being taken care of so much? Just because you don't know anything, you can't make fun of me. If that's what she wants, I'll end it all myself. With that in mind, I slowly stood up and turned my face to my mother-in-law. "I see. Well then, I'll gladly leave."
Huh?
You said that I can leave, right? Then I will gladly leave. I guess she didn't expect me to accept it so easily. My mother-in-law was stiff with a blank expression on her face. Without paying attention to my mother-in-law, I went to my room and started packing my belongings. As I was packing my luggage, I heard my husband's voice saying, "I'm home." I heard him shouting, so he seems to have heard the whole story from my mother-in-law. When I showed up, he came in with a pale face.
"Miranda, is it true that you're leaving?"
"Yes, your mother told me to leave."
"Don't tell me my mom has been complaining to you all this time."
"Well, yes, she's been unreasonable every day. But I didn't want to worry you, so I kept quiet about it. I'm sorry."
"Why? You should have told me earlier."
"My husband told me so, but I don't want to burden him as much as possible while he's in the middle of his job search." And Lucia, who didn't even know that, continued to accuse me of.
Don't play the victim like that. I've been putting up with you because of your stupidity. Stupidity? Because, thanks to Robin, we have such a good life, and you're a useless wife who can't do anything.
My mother-in-law's words left me dumbfounded and speechless. Beside her, my husband looked pale, put his head in his hands, and mumbled.
Our life is finished.
At his words, my mother-in-law asked,
What?
My mother-in-law looked at him curiously. She seems to have noticed that something was wrong.
Robin, what are you talking about by saying, our life is finished?
Yes, if Miranda were to leave now, we would be done.
What do you mean? I'm here. We'll be fine. And besides, we have your income.
I quit my last job and I'm looking for a job right now, and Miranda is the one that's been supporting us all this way. Miranda's the one who's kept you going through everything. And you treat her like that?
Huh?
Lucia probably never imagined that I alone could make a living of us three. When she learned the truth, she approached me with a cringing look on her face.
I'm sorry, Miranda. I didn't know anything. You should have told me in the first place. Then I wouldn't have had this misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding? I'm so angry from the bottom of my heart at my mother-in-law for trying to conveniently smooth things over. I forgot that my husband was there and yelled at my mother-in-law. You've got to be kidding me. How do you think I have been living with you? I've endured every unreasonable thing you've said and done, and now you suddenly ask me to leave. And you're trying to make it out to be just a misunderstanding.
Calm down, Miranda.
How can you tell me to be calmed down in this situation? Who do you think got me into this mess? As long as you're here, I won't live in this house anymore. I won't spend any more of my earnings on someone who can't even appreciate me. I'm not going to continue being a housekeeper for you. Lucia winced at my words for a moment. As if to pressure her, my husband coldly said to her,
Get out of here.
Robin, what are you talking about? I'm your mother.
I don't give a shit. You tormented my precious wife. Someone like you're not my mother anymore. Now get out of my house.
No, but...
In the end, it was my mother-in-law who was kicked out of the house, not me. My mother-in-law cried and screamed for a while at the front door, but when my husband and I continued to ignore her, she toddled back to her house. I haven't seen my mother-in-law since. She still calls us once in a while, and I still get daily emails from her, but the content is all ridiculous. At first, they were thin apologies, but she got angry that I didn't respond, and now she is abusing me with all the messages. My husband was so angry that he stopped sending money to her and deleted his mother's contact information. We are considering moving soon so that we will never see my mother-in-law again. I wonder how my mother-in-law will live now that she has lost the only family she has left. I know for sure that she will not have a bright future ahead of her. But neither my husband nor I have any regrets. The end of my life with my mother-in-law has restored peace in our marriage.
Miranda, I'm sorry. It's my fault.
Don't worry about it. It's not your fault.
Thank you. We're gonna have a peaceful life together.
Yeah. My husband saw my smile, so he smiled too. I hope this kind of time will continue for a long time. That is my current wish.